Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. And we continue our slog through Mozart. Oh, I have so much Mozart. I've got this particular clump now, which we're going to go through. And there's some very interesting things here. It's actually so much fun to do this because, I don't know everything that I have. I mean, some of you have been so, organized and methodical in your record collecting. You've got everything in databases and catalogs and, the jewel boxes thrown away and alphabetized in wonderful little albums with CDs. I can't be bothered to do any of that stuff. I just can't. I would much rather be listening to it than diddling it. You know what I mean? So I at least have this much of everything thoroughly alphabetized. I mean, that for me is a big deal. And I can at least, go through this, but that doesn't mean I remember everything that's in here. I remember hearing it. Once I see it, I usually remember it. But that doesn't mean I know I have it in the first place. Although to a remarkable degree, I sort of do. But here we have. What do we got here? Mozart, sonatas, and other goodies with Sviatoslav Richter on Philips. On that, which is now Decca, 2 CDs. Of course, the Fantasia in C minor sort of is the Kerschel 475 is kind of like the juicy, delicious, outstanding item here. But they're fine performances. I mean, they're largely, Richter-like, and people who like Richter like everything he does, almost, without criticism. And so I'm not going to criticize him, basically because I don't listen to this often enough to care. And that's the truth. You can only, I only have so much life. And I admire Richter very much. And I listen to a lot of wonderful things that he did. But Mozart, for me, is not one of his, must-haves. But that was part of that old Richter edition. I took it to pieces and stuck it in various places so that I would be able to locate something if somebody told me that I was a complete Philistine because I couldn't speak knowledgeably about Richter's Mozart. Well, if I need to listen to it enough to speak knowledgeably about it, I will! In the meantime, I'll let Jed speak knowledgeably about it. So here we have Symphonies 35, 40, and 41 with Sal and Cleveland. Classics, iconic, super fabulous. Definitely important and wonderful. And Annie Fischer doing Mozart. This is beautiful with Savalas, Piano Concertos 21, 22, 20, and 23. 20 and 23 are with Adrian Bolt and the Philharmonia. 20 and 21 and 22 are the Philharmonia and Savalas. Like I said, did I say that? I don't even know. On Seraphim. Very, very inexpensive. Annie Fischer was a terrific pianist, really marvelous. Her Beethoven on Hungariton is sensational. And she made a bunch of other really fine discs for EMI as well. And some of these are amongst them. Those are nice to have. Those are keepers, seriously, keepers. And then we've got Rudolf Serkin's Mozart concertos with Ormandy and Alexander Schneider and George Sell. I mean, really, you couldn't do better for Mozart. Really, when you think about it. These recordings, they're so iconic. They've held up so well. You've got Concerti 12, 14, 17, 19, 20, and 27, the Concerto for 2 pianos, the Rondo, Kerschel 511, and Kerschel 382. And Peter Serkin is in the Concerto for 2 pianos. Just wonderfully musical and intelligent performances. And, if you think you need to go do period instrument things to listen to these, and get the best performances, you're just out of your mind. I mean, those are just phenomenal. The Flute concertos with the Mozart Ensemble Amsterdam under Franz Bruggen. This is early Franz Bruggen with his on Sion before he jumped to Philips. And so you've got the Concerto for Flute and Harp and the 2 flute concertos and the Rondo for flute and the Andante for flute. And it's all very, very, very authentic. I think Mozart's flute concertos are basically at the lower end of the value scale when it comes to Mozart, but of course flutists swear by them because what else have they got to do? I mean, who are we kidding? And they're fun. I mean, they were keepers. All this stuff. I don't want to get rid of it because it's enjoyable. And I feel guilty getting rid of things that are enjoyable, even if I don't listen to them very often. Here's more Casadei-Sue. This is all Casadei-Sue stuff. which is, I mean, we just talked about that. This is just a repackaging of concertos 21 and 26 with George Sell in Cleveland in the Columbia Symphony, and Andre Previn doing the variations on A vous dirai-je moment, better known as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, or Ba Ba Black Sheep, or whatever that nursery tune is. You got it. It's really a French song. So there you have it. We did those. We talked about them. Clara Haskell with the L'Amoureux Orchestra and Igor Markevich. Oh my gosh, these are classics. They are amazing. Piano Concerto 20 and 24. And they are just wonderful. Haskell was such a great Mozart player. She really was. I mean, she had one of those, I don't know, she's one of those people who just, his musical impulses were like infallible in this music. And Markevich is a terrific conductor, and they make music like no one else. I can't even begin to describe it for its clarity and sparkle, and it's just great. Well, we talked about these, didn't we? We did these, didn't we? Yes. This is one of our greatest recordings ever, the Brendel Mackerras Piano Concerti 22 and 27 with the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. We don't have to discuss them again. And then we've got the Mass in C minor, coupled to the Missus Solemnis on Telarc with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra and Chorus and Robert Shaw. The soloists in the Mozart are Edith Wiens, Dolores Ziegler, John Aller, and William Stone. In the Beethoven Solemnis, it's Sylvia McNair, Janice Taylor, John Aller, and Tom Krause. These are very fine performances. I don't always like Shaw as a conductor generally because he tended to be very, well, it's chorus-oriented naturally because that's what he was. And he could be rather dull. But these are fine, fine versions. I mean, he rose to the occasion in certain works. I mean, the Dvorak Stabat Mater, the Verdi Requiem, a few other pieces. He did extraordinarily well. And this is one of the high points of his Telarc discography in Atlanta. And then we've got, Murray Perahia with the Chamber Orchestra of Europe and the English Chamber Orchestra. He's conducting from the keyboard the Mozart 21st and the Coronation Concerto number 26. He did all of the concerti initially with the English Chamber Orchestra conducting from the keyboard. A very fine set. For me, not quite the best because I always think you're better off having a separate conductor, but he's a wonderful artist, and so these are lovely to have as well. And there you have it, my friends. Lots of piano stuff this time, wasn't it? Yeah, it was almost all piano stuff and some symphonies. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.